Hello, hello. All right, y'all, let's get into it. So, unfortunately, I had an issue with my webcam where I set up the webcam originally, it went to another one, and so the original streaming live section did not actually pick up my webcam. But today we're talking about your next summit talk, and more importantly, what to keep in and what to leave out. Because listen, the speech that you have that you're doing isn't just words on a page. What you include and what you cut out says everything about your purpose, about who you are, and about how you want to show up in the world. And before I get into today's talk, which is what to keep and what to leave out in your next summit talk, I want to talk a little bit about just who this is for. So, this is for you if you identify as a visionary entrepreneur, a leader, a creative business owner who has an upcoming speech in the next 90 days, within the next 90 days. If you see me looking over here, it means that I'm just giving some attention to my Instagram audience. If you see me looking over here, I'm giving some attention to my YouTube audience. So if you have a speech coming up in the next 90 days and you are a visionary, a revolutionary leader, you understand that there are three things that you want to happen with this speech. Like, you're not just going to speak because you just love to chat. No, that may be a part of it, but you want to do one of three things. You want to convert the audience into potential clients so that you can continue to share your vision with the world, because serving clients is a way of sharing our vision with the world. You either want to convert or you want to convince. You want to convince people of your perspective. You want to convince people of the way you look at things because you think that the way you see the world is valuable for the rest of us to manage. Or you want to connect. You want to build a following. You want to build connections with stakeholders, future stakeholders, open up the space for opportunity. Now, if that's you, that's what you want, this talk is going to be helpful for you. And one of the challenges that you may be having right now is you may feel like you have a really big message, but it's a little bit too messy. You're too close to your message, so you're not exactly sure how to organize it in a way that people are moved, are touched to action. Again, convert, convince, or connect. That's what you want with your people. You may have been procrastinating a little bit because, I mean, you're juggling business, you're juggling clients, you're just juggling your visibility efforts. You are doing a lot of things. And yes, this speech is a great opportunity for you to get yourself and your mission and your business out there. But when are you going to find the time? When are you going to find the time? Welcome into the room. We're talking a little bit about how to build your speech for your next summit, knowing exactly what to keep in and what to keep out so that it can convert, so that it can connect, and so that it can convince. Another challenge that you may be having as this revolutionary leader is that you don't have the time to really figure it out later. Maybe you have a speech coming up in a week, maybe you have a speech coming up in 2 weeks, and it just needs to happen now. Quick story before we go into today's session. I want to talk about why I think it's important to know exactly what to keep and what to leave out in your speech. As some of you may know, I live in Mexico. So I've been living in Mexico for the last 5 years. And when I first got here, I really thought that I needed to impress people with speaking Spanish on stage. I'm a performing artist. So when I go on stage to sing, I want to interact with my audience. I want them to feel me. I want them to know that I know them. And so I would force myself to speak Spanish to my audience. And sometimes it would actually interrupt the flow of how I expressed myself because, quite frankly, my Spanish just was not stage ready. My Spanish was cute, but it just was not stage ready. So I'm there on stage. I'm tripping over my words. I'm trying to perform when in reality, what I found out later is a lot of people in the audience, one, understand English, and two, even if they don't understand it, there's something about the expression of English that makes them think, ooh, it's a foreigner. And I'm even more interested. And I heard this, I'm not making this up. I heard this from one of my managers at the time. He said, Cherise, stop trying to speak Spanish. People are attracted to the fact that you're not from here. That's okay. You can speak English, which you know. And so it would have been perfectly fine if I just stood in my truth and spoke English. Now, what does this have to do with what you keep in your summit talk and what you keep out? Here's the thing. When it comes to what you are speaking about, the most important thing is going to be clarity, and clarity comes from alignment. Okay? If you try to add too many things in to what you're doing because you're trying too hard to relate to the other person you're pursuing with this anxious energy, you're giving your accolades, you're giving a lot of filler stories, you're giving too much explanation, then you are probably going to create a lot of noise when in reality clarity comes from being you and trusting that that is enough. So today that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. I'm going to give you a very specific list of what to keep in and what to keep out of your next summit talk to make sure that it does what? One of three things: converts, convince, and connects. Let me hear you say convert, convince, and connect. If you're watching this live or even if you're watching it later in the chat, convert, convince, connect. That's the goal of your speech. Okay. You want to get clients. You want people to buy into your philosophy, and you want to build your following and your network. But for those of you who are new to me, hi, hola. My name is Cherise La-Vonne. I am a spoken word poet, a public speaking coach, a performing artist, a designer, and I help speakers and leaders, people who identify as change makers in the world, to embody confidence so that they can communicate that change that they want to see. Because, we've all heard that saying, be the change you want to see in the world. But has anybody told you how sometimes that just had, it kind of had to exist as this person that's separate from everything else? I know specifically as the black sheep in my family how challenging it is to allow myself to exist as a change I want to see, while existing as that change meant that people cut me off, people criticize me, people think that I'm crazy, and having to embody confidence even as I exist as this thing that people say I should not exist as. So what the work that I do with my clients as a public speaking coach, it's not just about the very specific technical skills, which we do as well, the vocal exercises, the enunciation, we do all of that stuff, the range of your voice, the volume, when you speak with emphasis, when you pause because you want to draw people in, when you talk fast because you want people to feel a little anxious because you're building some energy here. Like, we do all of that in my coaching. But most importantly, at the foundation of it, is we work on your confidence, your alignment, your inner personal alignment, to make sure that you are showing up as the thing that you are speaking. Let me tell you something. People are not stupid enough. People are not stupid. People know when what you say is not what you really feel. People can feel when you are not really aligned with the words that are coming out of your mouth. And so we want to make sure that you have alignment, and that's alignment with yourself is what's going to determine what you keep in and what you keep out. Okay. So, quick note before we dive deeper: if you do have a summit coming up, a keynote, a presentation, a workshop, any kind of talk that's coming up in the next 90 days, I want you to know that I am offering a VIP day for 8 people. That's 6 hours of dedicated time to get you from your seed idea, developing an outline, building a speech, reviewing the language and messaging of the speech to make sure that it fits your goals and also the audience's needs, practicing that presentation of the speech, making sure it's ready to deliver. If you want details about that VIP offer, you can send me a DM with the word speech, or you can just book a call with the link that is below this video. If you're on Instagram, I'm not sure if I got it in my bio in time, but the link is bit.ly/30 minutes with Cherise, Chereese, but it is also below my YouTube video. And I will also get it on Instagram in time. Okay. So just to let you know, if you find what's happening here valuable, you can also book to work with me. Now, this offer ends next week, Monday. Next week, Monday is August the 25th. So you have until August the 25th to book this with me. And I want you to understand the value here. I work with my clients at a rate of $250 an hour. That's the client rate that I currently have. In this VIP day, you are getting $1,500 worth of time with me at a steal of 555. And it is a very focused time to make sure that you come out with the result that you want. So, you know how to find me. DM speech or click the link to book a call with me if you're interested in one of those VIP spots which close on August 26th, Monday. Okay, so let's get into it. What to keep and what to leave out in your next summit talk. The name of the game at this stage is clarity. Okay? If you have pens and paper out, you can put them aside for now. We're going to use them later, so keep them close by. But before we get to pen and paper, we're going to make sure that you are in alignment with yourself. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you stand for, if you don't know what message you're here to deliver, or if you at least cannot formulate words around it, so you probably know it, you do know it actually. I'm going to show you that you know it. And as the revolutionary leader that you are, you have you know it. You know who you are, right? You know what you stand for. You know the message that you're here to deliver. We're going to use that knowledge that you already have, not tricks, not frameworks, not tips, to help you get very clear. Like I'm talking about point by point clear about what you need to deliver to your audience. Okay. So I want you to do a couple of things before we continue. I want you to just give me a few minutes of your time, of your attention, to drop into a mindfulness exercise with me. And I want you to hear me out. If you're not used to doing mindfulness exercises, if you're not used to meditating, if you're not used to doing creative visualization, you may think it's a little crazy, you may think it's a little woo-woo, and maybe it is. I'm going to ask you to give me the benefit of the doubt for like 2 minutes, and let's just try a thing. Let's just try something together, okay? So here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to take a deep breath. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can just gaze softly. We're going to take a couple breaths just to clear the mind of anything that may be there. Allowing yourself to really be fully present in this moment right here, right now. Breathing in, deep belly breath. On the exhale, release with a sigh. Let's do a quick sensation meditation just to get you fully in your body in case you're not. So I want you to just pay attention to where your feet touch the floor. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Notice where your butt touches the seat below you. Notice if you can feel air or clothes on your skin. What's the temperature of the air on your skin? Bring your awareness up to your shoulders, your neck, feeling if there's any tension there. If you feel like you need to move a little bit, you can do that. Bringing your awareness to your eyebrows, relaxing the entire face, relaxing the head. Allow yourself to just chill for a minute. And in this relaxed state, I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine that you are backstage at an event Ay, no puedo ahora, por favor. Dame un segundo. Sorry about that, my neighbor. Coming back centered. Allow yourself to imagine that you are backstage at the event that you're going to speak at. Or maybe you're seated in the audience, however it's set up. It's a moment right before you're being introduced. And I want you to see yourself, like fully feel yourself there. Fully feel where you're standing or sitting. Fully see the lights around you. Feel the buzz of people. Peek out from behind the curtains and look out into the audience. I want you to feel yourself excited, prepared, ready, eager to deliver this speech that you are now developing, that will be completely ready by the time you're on stage. They've called your name. It's time to go out. So I want you to go out. You're walking up onto the stage. You're feeling confident. You're standing in front of everyone. And you can feel the energy from them, positive energy. They're so ready to hear what you have to say. But here's a trick. Imagine that when you open your mouth, instead of words coming out, there is just this beam of light that moves out into the crowd from your mouth. It also feels like it's coming out of your chest. You open your mouth, you open your chest, and there's a light that's beaming out of your chest out into the crowd. And you can see literally this energy as it lands on people's faces. You can see the energy penetrate their body and do something. And as you're there, you are feeling that energy. Like your whole body feels alive with this specific energy. Now take a moment, and from this position, if you had to use one word to describe this energy, what would you use? Just whatever word comes to mind, don't overthink it. I think authenticity for me. I think freedom. The energy that beams from my chest feels like freedom. What does the energy that beams from your chest feel like? Take a deep breath once you have that word. Allow yourself to slowly open your eyes. And you can write that word down. Maybe your word was confidence. Maybe it was freedom. Maybe it was belonging. Maybe it was fighting. Maybe it was power. Maybe it was strength, love. Write that word down. And now let's play with it. So that was the first step. The first step is just getting very clear on what is the energy that you naturally have to do. Hi, Iram. Um, you heard my Spanish in the middle of the meditation. My neighbor could not have had worst timing, but it's fine. Yes, I am fluent in Spanish. So we are now gonna do something with this word. Again, what we're trying to do here today is we're trying to decide what to keep in and what to leave out in your next summit talk. Okay. And if you're just joining, I'm Cherise La-Vonne. If you have a big talk in the next 90 days, I'm offering a VIP day to help you get fully prepared. But outside of that VIP day, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, today's the 22nd, the 23rd, and 24th of August, we are working on a speechwriting sprint to help you get your seed idea into stage ready speech in record time. So by Sunday, you will have a speech that is full and ready to be prepared to present it on stage. So that's what we're doing over the next 3 days. um, but if that you find this valuable, and it's free for you now, if you do find this valuable, you can book a VIP day with me to help you get fully prepped, in case you may not be able to actually get everything done right now because you had other plans, and etc., etc. Okay, so let's go back to that core word. For me, that core word is freedom. I want you to play with it a little bit. That word that came out, and what we did right there was we took an opportunity to sort of step out of the logical mind for a minute to be able to allow ourselves to see, okay, on an essential level, like on a soul level, how do I show up, right? And that's how you determine it. Now, again, you can do this exercise another time if you feel like the word you chose wasn't exactly the word for you, but you get the gist and you want to choose another word. It's your life, baby. Do what you want to do. All right, it's your life, you got it. But if you do have the word, let's continue. We're going to play now with your zones of influence. Now, again, when deciding what to keep in a speech and what to keep out of a speech, meaning you want to make sure that the speech actually touches people, which means that that speech is in alignment with you, because an aligned message is the most powerful message, not a message that's trying to do too much to draw people in per se. Yes, we are going to convert. Yes, we are going to convince. And yes, we're going to connect, but we're going to do it from a place of authenticity, right? We're not doing it from tricks. When you are doing that speech, you have to make sure then that the things that are in it feel real to you. That word is a starting point. What we're going to do now is we're going to move into an exercise called the zones of influence. So, that core word, it's not just for the stage. Freedom is not just for the stage, it's how you show up everywhere. I want you to think about, how does this core word, mine was freedom, how does it show up in my personal relationships? How does it show up in my professional space? How does it show up in my community connections? And this little exercise is going to help you to see your zone of influence. So if you have pen and paper now, I want you to do this. We're going to write, I want you to write, we're just going to do three. First, we're going to start with, I want you to create a couple of sections on your page, right? So maybe you might put your put your page in four. There we go. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to divide your page into four, one in the middle, one line across the center. And in one box, we're going to write professional. In another box, we're going to write personal. In another box, we're going to write interpersonal. And in another box, we're going to write community/other. Okay. So professional, personal, interpersonal, community/other. In each of these boxes, I want you to just write down the top three places that you interact with people. I need to write that down because sometimes I use different words and I just want to make sure that I get the right word for you. Mm-mm-mm. The top three people that you interact with or circumstances. So, for example, in a professional space, I interact with clients, I interact with my business coach, I interact with service providers, right? Those are three people or entities that I interact with in a professional space. So space that out appropriately. You're going to have to write something under each one, but space that out appropriately in that quadrant. Under personal, how do you interact with yourself? All right. So what areas of your life are you most interacting with yourself? For me, that looks like I really am very I care a lot about my mindset. So I interact with myself a lot relating to my mind. I interact with myself a lot relating to my health. And I interact with myself a lot relating also to my sensuality and my sexuality. Those are things that I, genuinely interact with a lot, right? Interpersonal. These are your relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships. So maybe you have partner, maybe you have best friend, maybe you have a mother, daughter. Okay. Just three. And then in the community space, in my community space, I interact with my band, I interact with my yoga center people, and I interact with my neighbors. Okay, or that can be some other entity that you find yourself interacting with. I want you right now to just take a couple moments and think and write. how would each of those people describe you in relation to that core word that we had? So let me tell you what this looks like. In my professional space, I said I related to my clients. That's one. How would my clients speak about me, Sharice, showing up in the context of the core word of freedom? My clients would say, I help them to create more freedom in their lives because I help them to speak their truth. Okay? So if your word was love, how would your coworkers say that you show up in a way that actually supports them in love in some way? Maybe you're always changing the paper in the paper machine, something like that. Whatever it is, it can be as basic as it wants to be. But I want you to really think about how that word shows up in each of these zones of influence, okay? If you can't finish that right now, because I want to keep moving, you come back to it later. But what you're going to do and what you're going to find at the end of that is you're going to basically find all the places in your life where you already embody this word. And that's going to be proof that you're already qualified to speak on it. And when you find those words and those places that you embody those words, there's going to be a pattern that's emerging. Like you're going to be able to see, oh, like I tend to encourage people to speak their mind a lot. I tend to encourage people to be aware of who they are and to make sure that they take care of themselves and they advocate for themselves. For example, last night I was on a date and I was talking to this woman and I was telling her, like I'm really intense. I love to love. I love to express myself. And, sometimes I feel these things and I want to express them. And she asked me, she said, I get that. And you being so intense, do you take into account the other person and how that intensity is received? And I said, I absolutely do. And at the same time, I expect grown adults to be able to express and advocate for themselves, right? So the way I show up in the world, and so in that conversation, she was able to share things with me that I appreciated, her limits, her boundaries, whatever it was. But in that conversation, I realized that that is how I naturally show up in the world. I am naturally encouraging people, even if it's my date, to advocate for themselves. So you're going to see a couple of spaces and things emerging and themes emerging from this zone of influence exercise. And when those themes emerge, those themes are going to be the things that are going to help you know what topic to pick, what talking points to have, and you're going to try to find a way to tweak those topics and talking points to this very specific context that you're in. Let me give you an example of what that can look like. So my word is freedom, authenticity. I am encouraging people to be authentic. And I most often do that when I look at how I relate to my personal relationships. I'm always talking about my period. And I don't talk about my period just because TMI. I literally talk about my period because I believe that it is an authentic experience for a woman to organize her life according to this very predictable cycle that happens every month. And I believe that as a society, we should be able to acknowledge that and that it would make more sense to work with the systems of nature than against them. So when someone invites me out and I know I'm going to be premenstrual, I will say, that is the week that I tend to have the least amount of energy. So I am not entirely sure if I can support you. And I will say that, right? If you're just joining, just to let you know, if you have a big talk coming up in the next 90 days, we're doing this free speech writing sprint today, tomorrow, and Sunday, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of August, to help you prepare that speech. So, in my zone of influences, I see a theme of aligning with your natural cycle, right? So, it came from freedom, but aligning with your natural is one theme that would come up for me. And in fact, a couple years ago, I was in Tulum and I was invited to talk about financial abundance. And how did I talk about financial abundance? I did not talk about it the way that an accountant would talk about it. I talked about it from how I align my business structures to my cycle. So this is how you start to make sure that the way you are speaking is fully in alignment with you, because that's how it's going to land, baby. That is how it's going to land. All right, let's get in. Therefore, now that we've gotten the clarity, you know who you are, you know what your core word is, you know the different areas and spaces that you are showing up, and then you now have created themes and potential talking points. So you have at this point enough to determine what a title is for your speech. And again, if you want support with actually building out the speech with me one on one, click the link in bio, DM the word speech, and I will give you more information on my VIP day that's coming up. The link in bio that you're going to click is going to be to book a call. So it's not link in bio on YouTube, it's link in the description, it's a link in bio on Instagram. But that is going to be bit.ly/30 minutes with Cherise. And you will have a complimentary chemistry call with me for me to tell you a little bit more about the offer. Let's get into exactly what to leave in and exactly what to leave out. Okay. So here's what you're going to keep in your speech. Now is the time for notes if you weren't taking notes before. Keep number one. I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that you're going to keep in your speech that is designed to convert, to convince, and or to connect. You're going to keep stories that are yours. You're going to keep lived experiences that ground your point. So, for example, I started this live stream talking about my experience with Mexico, trying to nuff up myself and speak Spanish before I could even speak it, and then losing connection opportunities because I was trying too much. That was a story, that was my lived experience that grounds the point. So you're going to make sure that you have a story that grounds your main point. Okay, now that you know what the main point is, that's number one. Number two, you're going to make sure to keep in your core word or the theme that connects to your larger life purpose. So no matter what you're talking about, if you're talking about finance, if you're talking about toenails, if you're talking about hair, if you're talking about a car, find a way to keep your core word and theme and connect it to your larger life purpose. Number three thing to keep in, you're going to keep in insights that show how that applies to the specific thing that you're talking about. Number four, you're going to keep content that aligns with what you specifically are here to do, not what other people expect, what you are here to do, not what other people expect. Okay. Number five, you're going to keep tools, frameworks, or formulas that you actually use in your work. Or if it is stuff that you've researched, you can also use something that's researched, but it must be in alignment. And then number six is you're going to include a clear, direct call to action that's connected to what you are offering or what you want people to be convinced of or how you want people to connect to you. We did not cover that clear, direct call to action today, but we will tomorrow in our session that is how to turn your draft into a stage ready keynote in 2 hours or less. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And also on Sunday, August 24th, we're going to be talking about how to not leave any regrets on the stage, how to elevate your public speaking skills. Okay. Now here's what you leave out. What you leave out is number one, you leave out over explaining what you think the audience wants or needs. And the reason why you do this is because you want to make sure that the audience is connected to what you are actually trying to get them connected to. So sometimes we need to be able to connect to the audience. Actually, I made a mistake there. Sorry. Forget that. X that out. I had an error on my list. The first thing that you want to leave out is you want to leave out any long list of credentials, achievements, or external validations. That's not necessary at this point in the speech because what you're trying to do is create more of an emotional connection. It will come up at a certain point. You want to make sure that you leave out any filler content or padding that doesn't link back to your core message. And you want to leave out anything that feels like you're only just trying to pander to the people around you. Okay. But specifically, anything that does not fully align with the core message and the theme, we're going to leave that out because we want to make sure that people can follow along with us. All right. So leave in everything that's aligned to your core word, leave out everything that isn't. And even if you're connecting to the audience and their needs, find a way to tie it back in. And when we talk about building that speech tomorrow from a draft idea, we'll talk a little bit more about how you use languaging to create a thread so that people follow you every step of the way. Because a speech is basically like a map. You're leading people from one place to another place. And on a map, you have to see the directions of how things connect. And so one of the things I love to tell my students is when you're in Google Maps and you have to turn right, you literally hear it tell you turn right in meters, right? You are also going to be giving people advance notice of where you're turning, of where you're going, of what you're doing, so that they're with you on the entire journey. So again, that is what you leave in and what you leave out. If here's what we talked about today. We talked about why clarity comes before strategy. We talked about how to find your core word. We talked about how to determine your zone of influences by looking at how the core word shows up in your relationships, in your work, and yourself. And then we talked about how to use that as a filter to what to keep and what to cut from your summit talk. Here's your next step. If you've done your homework tonight, you're going to show up again here with me tomorrow at 2 p.m. CST on YouTube, youtube.com/Cherise La-Vonne, or on Instagram, Adventure in Authenticity. And your next step is if you want support in actually writing and practicing that summit talk one-on-one, I'm taking on 8 clients only between now and August 26th for a VIP day. It's $555 for a 6-hour intensive, or we can split that up across a couple of days. We can talk about it. But by the end, you will have a fully developed audience appropriate speech that you've already practiced and delivered. This is a $1,500 worth offer that I am offering at $555. Why? Let me tell you why. I had a situation recently where, so I have a sales coach that I absolutely love. And she had a presentation that she was giving at a summit. And she asked me, because I'm in her community, to support her with preparing that speech. Now, she is a speech writer. She's a public speaking expert. She's been on stages, but she just needed that mirror effect to make sure that the core message, and because I'm a part of the community, I understand her core message, got translated and also connected to the offer that she would be delivering. In my sessions with her, I got very excited, recognizing that to serve people who are showing up to save the world and change the world means that I am also in this process of changing the world. And it matters to me because I think that we need to be able to not just say, be the change you want to see in the world, but to actually communicate the change you want to see in the world so that people can actually buy into our change. So in that moment, I realized I really want to work with visionary leaders. I want to work with revolutionaries. I only have so much space right now in my calendar, and that's why the limit is there, who are going to go speak. So I can help you as that mirror to make sure that what you're saying is exactly what needs to be heard. Okay. So if you're interested in that VIP day, let me know. We can plan the day later on in the month, but the cutoff date for signups is going to be August 26th. And I only have 8 spaces. So if 8 people sign up today, that's it. You can DM me the word speech, or you can use the link below the YouTube video or the link in my bio on Instagram, bit.ly/30 minutes with Cherise, to book a call and let's talk more about it. All right. I will see you tomorrow, Saturday, August 23rd, 2 p.m. CST on YouTube and on Adventure in Authenticity Instagram to talk about how to go from draft to stage ready in less than 2 hours. That's it. That is it for now. Remember, if you want to work with me one on one, speech, or book some time on my calendar. Let's get you stage ready now. Hasta luego. Bye.